Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Mariah Bruner and I am UCA's Wellness Coordinator serving faculty and staff. Thank you so much for joining us today. This session is focused on time management and it will be led by Kendis Chenoweth. Kendis works in UCA's Division of Outreach and Community Engagement, and she is a certified life coach with an emphasis on wellness. And she shared with me that she is passionate about helping people discover and live the best version of themselves. So I'm really excited to have Kendis with us today. This session will last approximately 25 minutes, and we will leave plenty of time at the end for questions. And at the end, I'll share the process for claiming your 5 lifestyle reward points. And before we get started, I just want to review our learning objectives very quickly. During this session, participants can expect to understand how effective time management can increase productivity while also improving overall well-being. Participants can learn various time management strategies and explore helpful time management resources. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Kendis, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Kendis, so you can go ahead and share yours.
Okay, is everybody able to see the screen? Are we all set? Okay, so today, like I said earlier, today we're going to learn some simple strategies to accomplish more every day. Next screen, please. Okay, so this is a picture of my sweet family. It was taken in Banff, Canada, and the trip was to celebrate our son's college graduation. Now, I share this with you because had it not been for my wonderful husband and my sweet son, who are amazing planners, this trip and all the great memories we had would not have happened. Because the woman who is in the middle right there is not somebody who is typically naturally a planner, super organized, somebody that just walks around with a to-do list all the time. And so I need you to know that the things that I'm sharing with you, I have actually learned and implemented in my life. So these things, if you find yourself going, oh, I'm not a planner, or I'm not good with time management or whatever, well, you're in good company. And the things that I'm going to share, you can absolutely learn. And there's hope for every single one of us. Next slide, please. All right, so we're going to get started with a little quick inventory. So I want you to kind of figure out where you are on the spectrum of being organized and a productivity ninja, or, oh my goodness, I am so scattered, I don't even know what day it is. Who do you identify with? Let me kind of throw out a few phrases. I wake up with just enough time to race to work, back in the old days, or for now, to slide into my chair in front of the computer. I have stacks all around my workspace, and honestly, most days, I don't feel like I've accomplished much of anything and wonder where my time went. Do you kind of find yourself being that person, or are you a little more like this? I unclutter my workspace regularly and I get rid of stuff I don't use. I have a morning and evening routine, and it kind of helps me have a purpose for my day. When I sit down at my workplace, I feel focused and prepared to be productive. So of those two scenarios, maybe you find yourself like the one on the left going, what is the day, let alone what am I supposed to do with it? Or you're on the right going, hey, I got this together. The good thing is that we are in a judgment-free zone here. Go ahead and next slide, please. And as with all the things we've been learning with COVID, even this, you guys, we're all in this together. And there are things where we can kind of pull in and get a little bit better at if we do find ourselves being more of the organized person. And if you're more on the side of the waking up to a new day every day, there are things that you can do to start pulling in and getting a little bit better. But there's no judgment at all because we're all making this up as we go. Anybody else feel that way? As I'm like, oh, a whole new day and let's see what this looks like. So please know that there isn't any judgment and that you are not needing to feel bad about yourself at all. In fact, I'm really excited because I know that there's something for everyone. In fact, for the next slide, please. This is what we're going to follow. We're going to discover benefits, learn strategies, and locate resources. Now, I intentionally did not write discover benefits of time management, learn strategies for time management, because we cannot manage time. That's a misnomer, and there is no way, no matter how incredibly organized you are, you cannot take 5 minutes and make 6 minutes out of it. You can't manage something. Time is just a process of events. What you can manage is yourself. So we're going to talk about strategies for self-management. We're going to discover benefits of what happens when you start managing yourself. And so, excuse me. So I know that even as we're looking at these strange days and times and feeling like you're so, I don't know about you, I shouldn't put this on you, but there's just so many things I'm out of control of with what's going on in the world right now. The one thing I have going for me is I can manage myself. And so I'm hoping that you're going to find a few strategies that you're going, you know what? I can't change one single thing about what's going on in the world, but I can change one thing about how I manage myself. So go ahead. Thank you. When you're listening, you guys, I just really encourage you to just, as you're listening to this, to think to yourself, what one thing can I implement over the next 10 days? I don't want you to look at this and go, oh my word, I've got to change everything about the way I've been doing life. No. Just one small little change that you can make as a result of hearing this information that you can implement and start pulling in the reins a little bit for a little bit better self-management. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's a list, you guys, and this isn't even a comprehensive list, but this is a list of all the benefits that come when somebody starts managing themselves and getting control of how productive they are. Now, from this list, I can honestly tell you that the things, when I began managing myself, and I'll share a little bit about that, when I began implementing some habits and some consistency in the way I entered into each day and ended each day, I not only experienced all of these, but the great thing was, and I can't even believe this was so serendipitously wonderful, but not only did I get all these benefits, you guys, it became for me a snowball effect. So what happened was, remember I told you I am not naturally a productive, organized, to-do list, ninja planner, productivity, queen at all. So I knew I had to kind of pull in the reins and start adding structure to my life. So I began with a morning routine. In that morning routine, it became who I was. And as I was doing some things in the morning routine, I got some self-confidence, I got some momentum, and so I started adding things. So from my little morning routine, I started, oh, you know what? Now I can consistently start taking vitamins. Oh, I'm going to consistently, start drinking more water, being more intentional with my water intake. Oh, I'm going to consistently do some stretches and a little bit of cardio every morning. Oh, I'm going to and I had one thing after another start happening because I was creating and putting into my life some structure, and it began to give me the confidence and the motivation and the momentum to add more. So that's kind of an idea of habit stacking. So if you find yourself as one of those, like we talked about earlier, going, good grief, I am one of those that, has no structure at all. If you implement just one tiny little thing, that can then develop into more and more and more. And to the point that, I'm leading, good heavens, I'm leading a talk on being productive and accomplishing things and being structured and managing your time and yourself. I am not that person But with the things I've been doing, I am now that person. All right, next slide, please. All right, can you imagine if you had a coach that didn't have a game plan? That quite literally the coach just had you show up, and right before the game, he'd gather you in a huddle and he'd look at you and go, okay, try your best, and send you out on the court or the field. How successful do you think that team would be? Do you think that team would have a winning season? More than likely, there might be a couple of wins just based on sheer raw talent of the players, but not going to be a winning season. Well, I find that without implementing self-management strategies and without consistently having these little habits that I'm going to talk about, it's like you and I are playing the game of life with no game plan. We're literally letting life define us and create how life is going to go for us, instead of us going, no, here's my game plan. This is how I will know I win the day or win the month or win the year. But without those self-management strategies that I'm going to talk about, it's like having no game plan. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for anybody that I know, to just kind of exist in life. I want you to have that game plan. I want to have that game plan so that we can know not only, hey, I am winning this game, I'm winning the game of life, but have the satisfaction of it and then leave a legacy. So are you guys ready to start learning some strategies? I'm ready to get started. Okay, next picture. I want you to take a look at this, you guys, and just kind of sit in it for a second and think about how this picture makes you feel. Now, if this were a live, interaction, I'd be able to say, I saw that. I'd be able to say to you, give me some feeling words. What do you feel? Since you can't, I'm just going to kind of share with you my feelings. When I see this, it makes me anxious. I look at this and think, oh my word, what's going to fall in on me? My mind automatically is trying to figure out how to develop a system for this and how to organize and whatnot. It's not a very calming, soothing space to me. Okay, so Mariah, show the next one, please. Now, I can't help but just even breathe out loud with a big sigh of relief when I see this picture. When I look at this space, you guys, it gives me a freedom to be able to create. I feel energized. I feel like my mind doesn't have to sort things out and structure them or find a way to organize them, but instead my mind can literally create. So the first strategy I want to talk about is the strategy of organizing your workspace. Next slide. Now, there are a ton of benefits to organizing your workspace, but probably one of the biggest ones is the fact that when you have an organized workspace, your mind is allowed to do what it does best. And your mind was made to create, not hold. Another way of saying that is your brain, my brain, is meant for having ideas, not holding them. And when we have a workspace that's cluttered and chaotic, then what's happening is our brain is constantly thinking that it needs to close loops because there's, oh, I need to file this, and oh, where did I put that paper, and where did I put that phone number, and constantly is trying to hold, and that's not what we're created to do. So already we're kind of in a deficit when we are in a space that we're trying desperately to organize, but our minds are just not able to do anything else but make sense of that chaos. The next strategy I want to talk about, next slide please, is the idea of win the day. Now, as you guys are looking at these, I understand that our time is so different right now, and it's even maybe a little bit hard to think about your workspace at work. So maybe, just maybe, as you're looking at these strategies, think of how they could apply to your life in general. Maybe there's a home space that you need to organize because it's just sucking energy from you. On this one, on the win the day, this can be anything. You can do this on a Sunday afternoon. What would a Sunday afternoon win the day look like for you? But the idea of win the day, before the day starts, you guys, choose 3 to 5 most important tasks. When you do this, that is quite literally you creating the game plan for your day. Now, they may not happen. You may get 1 out of 5 because life happens, or, what, again, we have so little control right now. But if you even have something you're aiming toward, you're a lot better off than just letting life happen to you that day. So the idea of choosing 3 to 5 most important tasks, I write those down. Those are my intentions for the day. And like I said, some days, man, I am just on top of it. Other days, I may have gotten 2. But you know what? 2 is better than none. Next slide, please. All right, another strategy, and this one is a huge one, but the idea of focus. You guys, it is a lie that we can multitask. Remember what I just said, that our brain is meant for having ideas, not holding them? When we think we can multitask and flip from one little thing to another, and we're constantly distracted, it takes our brain 15 minutes to get back into a flow of creating, producing, accomplishing. 15 minutes. So when you and I are not managing the things around us, then what we're doing is actually letting all the distractions keep us from accomplishing anything. In fact, I want you to think for just a second, back when we had a normal work environment and we went to work and we had a certain amount of time, how would you answer this question? How do you spend your time? Would you answer it by saying, hey, Kendis, you know what? Typically, I spent my time working. I was able to produce, create, and accomplish. Or would you maybe have said, if I'm honest with you, I spent my time responding. I responded to people's urgent needs. I responded to the person that walked by and started talking. I responded to the notification that popped up. I responded to the latest, fire in the email chain, whatever it was. That is not managing yourself. That's letting life manage you. That's letting distractions, other people's urgencies manage you. And so one of the things I highly recommend, and this is something that you can start implementing now, and then maybe take it back to when we get back from telecommuting and you're in your office space. But one thing I really highly recommend, you guys, is that you manage your emails and not let your emails manage you. One of the ways to do that, a big way, is to have a set time throughout your day to actually check your email. What I do and what I recommend is that you check it in the morning, first thing, right after lunch, and then right before the end of the day. And then when you're checking it, you guys, you're not just checking it, but you're actually doing something with each one of those emails. So if there's an email where you're like, oh, good to know, then just either delete it or archive it, but process it. If there's one that you know you need to respond to, but it's going to take a little bit of time, make that one of your tasks for the next day or for that afternoon. Or if there's just a quick little response, then just take care of it then. But don't just be at the mercy of the email. Like if you get a notification that pops up and all of a sudden you're shifting from that to that distraction and you've lost your flow. Take off the notifications. Take off the notifications of your social media, of your, oh, good heavens, please, please, please take off your notifications of the news feed right now. You manage what you're going to allow to come into your life, not be managed by other people's urgencies or other people's notifications, because all of those things, they just ruin your focus and you become a person who responds instead of a person who produces. Some other great tips for helping to manage your distractions: wear headphones, or if you're at home, maybe set up with the kids. Hey, you know, when mom's in the zone, I've got a sign here, please don't interrupt, or whatever the case may be for your setting now. If you can close doors, that's great. If you can just let your family members know that this is a no interruption time, whatever the case, but manage those distractions so that you can focus. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I want to teach you something that has been an absolute game changer for me, you guys. This is called the Pomodoro Technique. And if you've never heard about it before, just Google it. It's super, super, super simple. And I need super, super, super simple. Again, I'm not, remember I told you I'm not naturally productive and I'm not naturally structured and all these things. And I tend to be really easily distracted. I'm one of those that can, you know, all of a sudden the squirrel and I'm often chasing it. So this technique has worked great for me. Real simple. Basically, what you do is you write down your one task that you want to accomplish. I just find a scrap piece of paper and I write it down. Set your timer for 25 minutes. I use my phone as my timer. During that 25 minutes, when you hit start, focus on that one task. When the timer goes off, put a check mark. Give yourself 3 to 5 minutes of a break. Sit back down, start all over again. Write out your tasks that you're going to focus on. Hit your timer for 25 minutes. Focus. Timer goes off, 3 to 5 minutes. Take a break. And you do this, and those are called cycles. You do 4 cycles, then give yourself a longer break, a 15 to 30 minute break. So really step away and kind of reset, refresh, rest a little bit, and then get back to it again. You sit down at your computer, you write out your task, you hit your timer, and you go for it. There are so many benefits to this, and one of which that I have discovered, and it's kind of amazing, but not only does this technique help you increase your focus, you guys, it also helps reduce mental fatigue. Because what happens when we sit down to do a project, if there's no end to it, all that does is exhaust us before we've even started. But if you use this idea of the 25 minutes, then your brain can go, hey, I'm all in for 25 minutes. I can do 25 minutes because I know a rest is coming. So it's actually energizing. It's not draining. It helps you with accountability. I find that every single time I do this, every single time without a fail, as I'm doing it, I know my next task that I want to do after the timer goes off. So it actually increases your planning. It becomes this very organic flow of, okay, so I'm focused right now, but I know that this is going to be my next one that I need to focus on. So you're planning, and then at the end of it, I can't even tell you how stinking satisfying seeing all those check marks and being able to say, wow, I got this done today. And it's living proof right there, because you can see what you wrote down, the check mark that you did, and you know that you accomplished. Back to the whole idea of you had a game plan and you won the day. So that's the Pomodoro technique. You can check it out. It's all over on, just Google and you can find out more, but it is that simple. Write the task down, hit the timer for 25 minutes. When the timer goes off, 3 to 5 minute break, get back to it, write your task down, hit the timer, do that for 4 times. I mean, it really is a simple yet incredibly useful tool. Okay, so the next one is a simple 2-minute rule. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but Dave Allen's been around forever. And he has something that just resonated with me when I learned about it back in the early 90s. 2-minute rule. Basically, guys, if something will take you 2 minutes or less, just do it. Don't write it on a to-do list, just do it. So for instance, you can use this at home. You know, hey guys, for the next 2 minutes, let's all pick up in the living room and set the timer and just have everybody, you know, knock it out. 2-minute rule with your mail. You go get your mail and then go and file it right away. Don't just put it on a stack on the counter. I'm trying to think of 2-minute rules, just anything. 2-minute rule, put your clothes, you know, fold your towels and put them away. Whatever is going to take less than 2 minutes, just do it. Don't leave it there to have your mind have to hold it. Instead, do it and not go, oh, that's right. What was I supposed to remember to do? No, it's already done. So that's the 2-minute rule. Up next, guys. This is a super, super fun one for me because there's something so satisfying for me in this. But one of the strategies is to end your day with starting tomorrow's task. Now, what that looks like, you remember I already told you that I've set my intentions for the day and my tasks, and I've done my Pomodoro, and I've done my email checks and things like that. As I'm wrapping up the day, if I know my next day's tasks, one of my wins for the next day, maybe it's write an email that's going to take me longer than, you know, it's going to take me a bit of time to draft it and create it or whatever. What I'll do before I end the day is I will actually start that email. Dear so-and-so, it's, you know, whatever, and start like 2 sentences worth, and then shut my laptop down, put my papers away, clean my workspace a little bit, and call it a day. But what happens with ending by starting tomorrow's task, ending your day by starting tomorrow's task, the next day, you guys, I've already got some momentum to just jump right in and finish that one thing that I had started the day before. And so you're coming in not from a start where you're just, you know, trying to hit the ground running. You're actually just sliding into a productive day already because you've already started. You've already started the productivity the night before. So that's just a real simple, another fun little strategy to just sneak in those self-managing habits. And then the final one I want to talk about, remember I told you that I am not necessarily productive and structured and all that, and I started a morning routine and a night routine. I started this a long time ago, and this has been such a great life self-management tool. It's basically just recapping your day. And what that does is it helps you kind of celebrate your wins. I ask myself, what went well today? And you know what? I can look at my Pomodoros and see all the things that I did. Or maybe I wrote that hard email, or I made that hard phone call, or whatever. I get to celebrate. You know, and right now when things are so kind of crazy for all of us, this is a really nice gift to give ourselves. Sure, we're not in a normal, controllable circumstance right now, but you've done something that's gone well every single day, but without taking the time to really look at it and appreciate it, you just kind of go from day to day to day and kind of sloth through it. So what I do before bed, what went well, and I get to just rehearse those things. And then I do a little bit of self-check. What didn't go so well? You know, I really had a bad attitude with my family today. I got to work on that. Or whatever that is, a little bit of a check-in of going, come on, Kendis, bring your A game. You come on, you can do better than that. And then the final question, what's still left open that's important? When I answer this, you guys, it automatically then gives me 1 or 2 or 3 of my win the day most important tasks for the next day. So it is bringing structure and launching me for the next day. So the next slide. This is just kind of the flow of what I've talked to you about. Now, I am not in any way, shape, or form telling you you need to implement every one of these things and this is what your flow should look like. What I'm saying to you is this is what it could look like. It could be a very natural flow for your life and for your work day. You can implement these things, like I said, at home with coming up with your 3 to 5 most important tasks on a Saturday with your family. It doesn't have to just be within the Monday through Friday work frame. But this is kind of just that flow of what it could look like where you're managing yourself and you're managing what you do with the time you're given. I don't know if you guys can see them, but when I'm doing the Pomodoro technique and I'm really just cranking it, and typically that's in the morning. I'm not so good in the afternoon. I kind of fall off a little bit. But when I'm doing it in the morning and I've got that momentum, you guys, I'll sneak in some of those 2-minute rule little tasks on my 3 to 5 minute break. I don't know if I'm making any sense to you, but hopefully it is. And I mean to tell you, that momentum then goes into my next Pomodoro, and I am just like clicking it off. And it is so exciting to be able to just feel those sense of accomplishment and wins. But like I said, I want you to think about one thing that spoke to you, one thing. And maybe it wasn't even anything I shared with you. Maybe it came from out of the blue. You had read an article and you're like, oh, that's right, I want to start doing that. It doesn't matter, but just one thing. I want you to find a piece of paper nearby and write down what is that one thing that you think to yourself, you know what? I could so do that for the next 10 days. Would you write it down right now? Kind of literally put action to it and write it down. Next slide, please. All right, now that you've written it down, I want you to also write the answer to this question. What excites me about implementing this one thing? All right, as everybody's writing those down, let's go ahead and I'm going to shift gears real quick and we're going to go over some resources. So if you don't mind. Okay, so I talked to Mariah ahead of time and I am not going to spend much time on this at all, but if you guys want the slides later on, she'll be happy to send them to you so you can just look back and go, what was that? But here's some books. So maybe you guys, maybe your one thing you were like, nothing really hit me. Maybe your one thing was meant to get one of these books and start reading it. But these are, there are a million, I mean, I bet you way over 1 million books on productivity, time management, routines and habits and all those things. I just pulled a few out. I've read a few of these. I've not read every one of them, but these are some good resources to be able to go, that one tip fits me well. I'm going to start using that tip. So these are some books. The next slide will show you how to make your wonderful smartphone work for you and not against you. Remember, I kind of talked to you about getting rid of the notifications on your cell phone. How about you use a cell phone and you manage it? And here are some resources. If you're struggling with task management, check out these apps. Maybe, and I didn't even get a chance to talk on this, but the idea of having a calendar and then a family shared calendar. Guys, when life starts getting back to normal, it's imperative that you have a family calendar so that you can have remember, the brain's not supposed to hold, it's supposed to have ideas. Have your family calendar hold all of the soccer practice, band practice, dentist appointment, whatever. But here's an app for it. If you struggle with tracking your time or with focus, there's apps for it. And I know a lot of people aren't necessarily morning people and struggle with getting up. This was a really cool alarm clock app. And I'm telling you, if you really want to get serious about being a person that gets up in the morning, check out this alarm clock app, because if you use it, you won't not be able to get your honey out of bed, because it will make you. Anyway, those are some resources. Like I said, with Mariah, she will send you those slides so you can look at them more carefully. But we're going to wrap up now. And I want to just leave you with some thoughts. If you have any questions, or if you have, maybe you guys are sitting there and you are productivity ninjas out there, and you have some tips or tricks or things that have really worked for you. Maybe you've got a resource that you're like, you guys, you have to know about this. This is a life changer. Or maybe you're just really brave and want to share your one thing with the group. I would encourage you, for just a couple of beats, unmute your, and I guess, Mariah, I don't know if you need to do that or whatever, but unmute and share with the group either a question or a thought or a hack or your one thing.
Thank you so much for teaching us today. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, Beth.
A lot of the things you said are such good ideas. One thing that I do that has really helped me is when I'm making my to-do lists the night before. I actually do that, and it seems to really help. But when I'm making my to-do list, I order it by importance, and so I put the most important thing on top. And so that way, as I'm going throughout my day, even if I feel time crunched or like I can't get everything done, I don't feel as anxious, because I know that I'm doing the most important thing.
That is fabulous. What a great word, Beth. Yeah. And then you're like, you know what, those other things, life goes on.
Exactly.
But I got the one thing done, and you had a win for that day. Perfect.
Exactly.
Great tip. Did you guys all hear that? When you're ordering your tasks, to actually put the most important at the top. That's your, that's your target for that one. Thanks, Beth. Anybody else got a tip?
Well, Kendis, I use the app on Google, on Gmail. It's called Task. Remember when we figured that out?
Yeah, you actually helped me. Yeah.
Right. And that has just been very helpful, because it's on the side of my email where I can see it. And it feels nice to check those off. And you can hide your checkoffs, or you can make it where you can see your checkoffs. So if that makes you feel better about just seeing it. So it's been very helpful. And you can download the app on your phone, so that if you're away from your desk, you can add a task through your phone, and it will populate on your desktop.
Nice. No, Tracy, that's been great. And that's what I use when I'm processing my emails. That's exactly what I do. It's like, no, I don't have time right now to respond back to that. And I put it in my tasks right next to the email. Yeah, I have loved that. Thanks for that reminder. Anybody else got a good tip or trick or question even?
Candice?
Yes.
Hi, this is Cynthia Burleson. I'm one of those that I tried for quite a while to use my computer or my phone, but I just don't always have access to them. So I found a good planner, and there are a lot of those out there, a lot of different types, but a good planner where I could write it down, and I can drop it in my purse, take it with me, have it with me wherever I am. If I'm in meetings or whatever, then I've still got it. So that is that's what I've found to be very helpful to me. The Full Focus Planner is a good planner. There's ChristianPlanner.com has come out with a new focus planner that I just ordered, so I haven't gotten it yet, but looks great. So there's a lot of those out there, and you can get them at places like Hobby Lobby even.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great word. I didn't get a chance to even get into this, but remember I kept saying your brain is for having ideas, not holding them. Studies have found that as great as our our devices, our technical devices of phones, that really the act of writing it down, the kinesthetic act of writing down things actually reinforces the fact in your mind that you have closed the loop, so it can go back to being a creator and not a holder. So I don't know that it will ever go out of style for people to have, you know, paper planners and paper to-do list notes and things like that, because there's just something in our evolution that needs to get it out of our brain and physically write it down so that it's not being held up there. So great word on that. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Tips, tricks, helps? These are great. Anybody want to share their one thing? Anybody brave to do that? Well, I am going to turn it back over to Mariah. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining me today. And I'm hoping that you can find one thing that really helps you get a little bit of control in these days that feel out of control. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Kendis. That was really helpful. I hope you all got a lot out of it, because I know I did. I'm just going to wrap us up here real quickly. If you'd like to claim 5 lifestyle reward points for this session, please go ahead and email me. My emails are up there, UCA BeWell or mbruner1, doesn't matter which one you use. You can just subject line, time management tips. You don't have to write a message if you don't want to. I'll know what that means. And then I'll shoot you back a certificate of attendance for today and a copy of these slides. And if Kendis is okay with it, I'll also share Kendis's contact information if you have additional questions for her. And just remember, you need to submit that certificate of attendance to the education sessions on-site category on your portal. And then when I email you, I will also be emailing a session evaluation. If you take just a minute or two to fill it out, it's very quick. We do appreciate your feedback. And lastly, I'm going to share my contact information. That's my email, my phone number. Make sure you visit the BeWell website. You'll stay up to date on our calendar with all upcoming BeWell events, and you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And just shoot me emails with questions or feedback or ideas about future BeWell education sessions. That's always really helpful. So I'm going to end this recording, but if you all want to stay and have more dialogue, that is absolutely fine.